Hello, my beautiful friends. I am Laurel Bleadon-Maffei with Illuminating Souls, welcoming you to this episode of Sleepy Bedtime Blessings, a podcast designed to help you rest, relax, and fall asleep, all while deepening in your connection with your beautiful team of angels who love you so. If we're meeting for the first time, I am an angelic practitioner, a spiritual teacher, and an encourager of souls. And in my waking hours, I do this through offering beautiful one-on-one angel sessions, which take place over the phone. I also offer a longer form of support called soul mentoring. And then I offer a variety of classes designed to inspire your spirit. I absolutely love the work that I get to do in the world, and I deeply appreciate the opportunity to love and support you. So if you've been listening for a while, you know that this podcast is born out of two of my favorite forms of self-care: connecting with the angels and listening to a sleep podcast, which I do every single night. I discovered sleep podcasts, I think somewhere around 2015. And the first one that I listened to is Sleep With Me by Andrew Ackerman, which he still publishes. He publishes 2 episodes every week. It's a wonderful podcast. So if you're looking for other sleep programming, I highly recommend Sleep With Me. I also love Sleepy Bookshelf, and I'm re-listening to The Enchanted April right now, which I adore. And there's others I listen to as well, and I listen to this one. So it just delights me that I create something that helps me fall asleep too. So here's what I recommend. If you are listening to this as a sleep aid, to go ahead and cozy on up in bed in whatever way works best for you. You know, each of us has our own sleep style. I like to tuck in my sheets. You know, I know some people like to sort of roll themselves up like a burrito in the blankets. I like things neat. So I like to be tucked in. And I sleep with lots of pillows. And then I use wired earphones, and I pick my podcast episode, and I turn the volume down low, lower than I would if I were listening to an audiobook. And then I just start to listen and make space to drift off. And usually I'm asleep within about 20 minutes. The sleep podcast gives my consciousness an opportunity to disengage from the busy mind. You know, the part of the mind that might review the day's events, what could I have done differently, you know, all of those strange things our consciousness does. So it disconnects me from that process and gives me a really gentle focal point that I find helps me tremendously in falling asleep. And I also know many of you listen during your waking hours. So if you are going about your day, driving to work, going for a walk, whatever you're doing, it's a blessing to keep you company. My co-hosts are the beautiful angels that I will be representing for you, but they are with you. They are divine messengers who are the embodiment of divine love for you. They are here shining their light upon you to help you find your way, to help you remember the beauty of your spirit, And so I want to invite you to just take a nice deep breath in and just allow yourself to receive their love. And even if you're not sure you believe in this concept of angels, I invite you to use your imagination, even just for the next 20 minutes. Imagine that the angels are real and they are shining their love upon you. And what would that feel like for you? The imagination is a great gateway to connect with the angels and divine love. You know, the angels, it's not necessarily something that I can prove to you, but I've had enough experiences over the years to know that there's a beautiful, tangible, visceral experience that I have when I'm deeply connected with them. Now, you may not have the same kind of experience, and that's okay. Maybe you can contemplate it this way. If we were living underground and you had never seen the sun, and I described the sun to you, the sun exists. It's just that maybe you hadn't experienced it yourself. So in this metaphor, I'm inviting you to come out into the bright sunshine with me. I know the way, and I've packed good snacks for us. And we're going to journey out from wherever we've been, and I'm going to lead you through a corridor until we come into this beautiful sunlight that has always been here. It's always been here. And the sun is so happy to greet you. In this metaphor, we have anthropomorphized the sun, and the sun is delighted to meet you here. It has been shining for you this entire time. And so breathe in the light, my beautiful friend. Allow it to meet you where you are. The angels know what is in your heart. They know what you have been experiencing. They know the intimacies and the intricacies of your deepest truth, and they are here to love you. So they're already here, but I am going to call them in because I love sharing this ritual with you. So we'll take a few nice deep breaths in and out together as we call ourselves gently into the heart of God. And beautiful angels on high, it is a joy to meet you here in this beautiful sanctuary of light. Angels, I ask that you join us here and that you infuse this broadcast with waves of divine love and service to each of our beloveds who is hearing this message. Angels, I ask that you bestow blessings of inspiration, of healing, of compassion and understanding. And angels, I ask that you help clear from us any fear or doubt or worry that we need not carry in our consciousness, helping us remember that we are divine beings having a human experience, and as such we are always, always connected with the wellspring of divine love and light. And dear ones, just take some nice deep breaths in, receiving this love. And imagine, if you will, that the angels are transporting you to a beautiful sacred garden. This garden is on the angelic realm. And it has been created just for you. Everywhere you look, there are beautiful flowers and plants and gorgeous trees. You can feel the gentle breeze. You can hear it as it ripples through the leaves. And there is a sense of vitality and beauty in this garden. And this garden is here to help you remember the beauty and vitality of your life force, of your beingness. And so as you walk upon the path in front of you, you see more and more of the garden and the big old growth trees. And up ahead you see a beautiful being of light walking towards you. This is one of your angels who has come to meet you here. Allow yourself to greet them as they greet you. They look at you with such love and reverence. With your permission, they embrace you, welcoming you to this moment. Allow yourself to receive their love. There's a beautiful alcove here in the garden where you can sit with your angel. They bring to you a cup of tea or whatever beverage you would love so that you can sit and visit for a while. This beautiful angel has known you since before you were born, and they have such a love for you. They will bring to you a healing treatment while you spend this time together. And they will be with you as you sleep. And so as you rest, as you sleep, whenever your next sleep cycle is, with your permission, they will bring you healing. They will help fill you with inspiration. They will help you to open to the wisdom of your heart and the magic in your soul. So just imagine this beautiful garden and this beautiful alcove as a place where you can meet with your angel. Just look around and notice what you see in your mind's eye. This is a sanctuary for you, and you can visit it any time. This is a beautiful, sacred space filled with so much love for you. So take a deep breath in, allowing yourself to receive the love that is here. Your angel is so grateful for this opportunity to be here with you now. And you know, they are showing me the sweetest, sweetest vision. In this sacred garden, it is also very easy for you to be with your animal family that has crossed the rainbow bridge. So your angel makes it possible for you to visit with your beloveds here as well. Just taking a breath in, allowing your heart to receive the love that is here for you. Love is eternal. It's just that it shifts form and we cannot always perceive it in the same way we once did. But it is always eternal. There are so many beings of light who are praying for you, rooting for you, cheering you on. So allow yourself to receive their love and support. Breathe in the light. And allow your heart to fill with love. This is a blessed moment for you. Every moment is a blessed moment, but this one especially so. Because this is a moment where the energy field is creating space for the love that is here for you to be amplified. So you just breathe. You can come back into your body, into your bed whenever you are ready. The angels will be watching over you and they will take good care of you. And you go ahead and rest and let the love be with you. And while you rest, we're going to move on into story time. And I'm going to read to you. And I just have to say, my heart is so full from that meditation. I just saw the sacred garden. I saw like our beloved animals, right? Our animal family from the Rainbow Bridge coming in to be with us. And so, I don't know, my heart is just so happy from that. And my hope is that you are feeling the love as well. So for story time, I'm going to read to you something that may not sound super sleepy, but I'm finding very interesting. And I think it might be boring enough that it'll help you go to sleep. So if you've been listening, you know that I grew up in Chicago, in Skokie actually, but the Chicago area. And one of our main department stores there was Marshall Field's that I continue to be enchanted with, even though it no longer exists. It was the grande dame of department stores. It was high-end. It was known for impeccable customer service, the best of the best. And also, in its heyday, it helped to revolutionize this whole concept of department stores. If you happened to watch the Masterpiece Theatre BBC production of Selfridges, he actually started working at Marshall Field's and then moved to London to open Selfridges. So a lot of the concepts you see at Selfridges, the grandeur of the store, the employees, all of that is very similar to Marshall Field's. And I've done, I think, 4 episodes about Marshall Field's, reading from an old book about them already. But what I found is their old office manual, or what we might call now an employee manual. And it's interesting, as I read old books, they were known for this employee manual. It sort of helped set the tone for how you might train a sales staff. And in their heyday, they had thousands of employees. They had schools, they had a chorus, they had a library at the State Street store. So this document is going to give us some insight into what it might have been like to work at Marshall Fields in the early 1900s. This was published in the American Office, its Organization, Management, and Records by J. William Schultz, published in 1914. And they received permission to reprint the Marshall Fields Office Manual. It starts off with the headline, Rule Book of Marshall Field and Company. The following general regulations are taken from the office manual of one of the best-known retail organizations of the country. It will be found a most effective combination of the laws, customs, social amenities, business ethics, and practical regulations applicable to a large and complicated business organization. Introduction. To do the right thing at the right time in the right way, to do some things better than they were ever done before, to eliminate errors, to know both sides of the question, to be courteous, to be an example, to work for love of the work, to anticipate requirements, to develop resources, to recognize no impediments, to master circumstances, to act from reason rather than rule, to be satisfied with nothing short of perfection. The important part of any rule is the spirit of it. This is gained by understanding the wisdom and necessity of it, and not by mere obedience because it is a rule. No rule seems hard when we see that it is wise, worked out from experience, made necessary by existing conditions. The object of these rules is not to abridge the rights of anyone, but to point out the path which we believe to be the wise one to follow. The traveler making his way over unaccustomed roads is grateful for the guideposts which tells him the way to his destination. He never complains when the sign at the crossing tells him to go the uphill way, for he is glad the sign is there and obeys cheerfully because he knows he is on the right road. We wish you to see, back of these rules, our earnest desire to conduct this great institution in the most harmonious manner, to give you the benefit of long experience, to save you the retracing of unguided steps, to enable you to grow in the knowledge of sound business principles, and thus to become a credit to yourself and to the house. Marshall Field and Company. Special instructions to beginners. Become thoroughly informed regarding that portion of the business in which you are placed. If in a selling section, learn the names and locations of the goods, their qualities, sizes, prices, for what they are used, etc. Learn what is expected of you, and as quickly as possible, make your actions correspond with the same. Do not hesitate to ask for information on any point of business which requires explanation. Section managers and assistants will watch you very carefully and will correct you when anything in your actions, language, or appearance is opposed to the general methods of this store. The greatest courtesy is required under all circumstances, whether customers wish to purchase or have finished and request the final care of purchase tickets, whether to exchange merchandise or return the same for credit, to inform themselves regarding an article on sale, or simply to visit the different sections. You will bear in mind that every person who enters the store is, in a sense, an invited guest and should be treated as such. In accordance with an unwritten but well understood rule, you are always at liberty to call the attention of the management to your remuneration or your desire and ability to occupy a higher position, and any act of this kind shall under no circumstances be to your disadvantage. Rules and regulations. Hours for business. The opening hour is 8 o'clock, at which time employees, with the exception of women and those whose special duties make it necessary for them to report either earlier or later, are expected to be in their respective places. Women will report for duty at 8:30. The closing hour is 5:30 o'clock. The bell will strike twice. At 5:20, dismissing women. At 5:30, dismissing all others. And I don't know why women were treated to a different schedule. I don't have any insight to that, but interesting. The opening and closing hours are subject to change. In addition to the above, the bell will be rung at 5 o'clock, at which signal those who, for any reason, are entitled to the half hour will be excused. All women who are entitled to the last half hour may leave the section at 4:50. Employees under 16 years of age are prohibited by law from working more than 8 hours in any one day and must not work at all before 7 a.m. or after 7 p.m. Section managers and assistants will see that this law is recognized, making such special arrangements as may be necessary. Employees' entrance. In entering the store, make use of any of the doors most convenient to you. In leaving, use any of the following. For the State Street building, and that's the building that I worked in for a while, Washington Street door, the main entrance on State Street, the Randolph Street door, or the court door near Randolph. Time clocks. You will register in the morning after coming from the locker room. At the hour for luncheon, you will register before going to the locker room, and upon returning, you will register after going to the locker room. Under no circumstances will you allow another person to register your time for you, even though the person who would do so visits the clock with you. We must insist that, as far as possible, you be punctual and regular in attendance. If you are necessarily delayed and can give a satisfactory reason for the same, you may obtain an excuse from the superintendent's office. Absence. When you know in advance that it will be necessary for you to be absent, you will arrange for same with the section manager or assistant. If unavoidably detained, you will telephone or in some other way notify the house without delay. Should you be absent a number of days, either preceding or following a holiday, the same deduction will be made for the holiday as for the other days. Should you be absent on both the day preceding and the day following a holiday, the same deduction will be made for the holiday as for the other days. But if you are absent one day only, immediately preceding or following a holiday, such leave of absence having been previously arranged with the section manager, full pay will be allowed for the holiday only. Immediately upon returning to the store, you will note carefully the cause and date of absence upon an absence blank, which then properly authorized by the section manager or assistant will be taken to the superintendent's office. The timekeeper will deduct full time for any absence indicated upon the time clock and unaccounted for by an absence slip. Change of address. You will immediately report any change of name or address to the timekeeper. Manner of dress. Be cleanly and neat in appearance, avoiding extravagance and display. Women and girls of all sections, workrooms, offices, etc., will be required to wear black skirts at all seasons of the year. No exception can be made to this rule, even to the wearing of large or specially made black aprons over colored skirts. In fact, when any of our women leave their individual sections, they will remove their aprons and scissors. From March 15th to October 15th of each year, they may wear shirt waists in white or black. White is preferred. White with black stripes or dots. Black with white stripes or dots, stripes narrow and dots small, or natural color pongee or linen. From October 15th to March 15th, we prefer they wear black waists, but will not object to shirt waists as above. During extremely warm weather, round neck collarless waists may be worn, the neck to be finished with an edge of insertion. Square or V-shaped colors must be avoided. Waists of very sheer, unbusinesslike material over colors or with bands of color must not be worn. Only full-length sleeve waists will be allowed during business hours. Sleeve protectors may be worn by salespeople only during the time that stock work is being done, and this should never be later than 10:30 a.m. Office help and others who do not come in contact with customers may wear sleeve protectors during the day, but will remove them whenever they leave their desks. White protectors will be worn with white waists and black with black waists. We prefer a becoming and businesslike arrangement of the hair. Our girls and women will avoid all extreme styles of hairdressing. Men will avoid unusual color combinations of hosiery and neckwear and loud, flashy apparel. When not wearing vests in warm weather, they will always keep their coats buttoned. Wow, that's a lot. I would not be happy. I've never enjoyed wearing skirts because back in my day that meant that I had to wear pantyhose, which I hated wearing. So I would have not been happy. They didn't say anything about shoes, so I'm assuming that it would typically involve some sort of heel for women, not high heels, but some sort of, clogs would not have been an option even if they existed back then. I know clogs existed, but not necessarily in mainstream middle America. So I would not have done well there. Okay, we'll move on though. Bulletin boards. The bulletin boards in the washrooms and elsewhere are the official means of communication with employees. Hereon are posted from time to time notices which concern every member of the organization. It is therefore highly important that you read each notice as soon as it is posted and act immediately in accordance with the instructions. Parcel passes. All packages from outside must be taken to the pass-out desk immediately upon your entering the store, and under no circumstances to your section or locker. Your lunchbox, personal purchases, or any other parcel to be taken from the store will be sent to the pass-out desk as early in the day as possible. No parcel passes will be issued after 5:15 p.m. Passes. Never leave the store during business hours except for luncheon without a pass from the section manager or assistant, which shall be countersigned by the floorman. For stock boys or stock girls, the signature of the section manager or assistant is sufficient. Never leave your section on any account without informing the section manager, his assistant, or the floorman. Such leave of absence does not mean a, quote, 15-minute pass, except to inspectors, elevator men, and others where such special arrangements are necessary. To all others, it means permission to leave the section for a sufficient length of time to carry out the thought for which it was granted, and employees will return as quickly as possible. Waste of time. The waste of time where so many are employed becomes a very serious matter. For you to waste 5 minutes may seem of little importance, but if you will stop to think that 100 or more may be wasting the same 5 minutes, and one seldom wastes time alone, but in conversation with others, you will readily see what it means to Marshall Field and Company. Loyalty to the house necessitates that as little time as possible be spent in washrooms or elsewhere away from the section. They've really thought of everything in here, haven't they? All right, the next section is time for making purchases, which I would have loved. Yes, nothing like a good employee discount when you are working retail. You will do your shopping for the most part before 10 a.m. and after 4:30 p.m. This allows 3.5 hours each day, and exceptions to the rule should be rare. Section managers and assistants will cooperate in eliminating as far as possible all annoyance to customers and loss of time to the sections caused by employees doing their shopping during the busy hours of the day. When you wish to make a purchase at other than the prescribed time, the section manager or assistant will allow you to explain why and then issue a card or not, as may seem best judgment. Courtesy among employees. When you are making purchases in the store, you will be treated with the same respect and courtesy that is shown to other customers. On the other hand, you will always remember how you wish customers to treat you when you are behind your own counter, and will exercise no less courtesy to those who wait upon you. Should you meet with discourtesy at the hands of any other employees, you will immediately inform the manager's office. You will use dignity, respect, and care in addressing other employees. A careless word or an act of familiarity on your part may, in the mind of some passing customer, cause a reflection to the discredit of yourself and the one associated with you. In all cases warranting the same, you will use the prefix Mrs., Miss, or Mr. Flowers, presents, etc. The spirit which prompts the starting of a subscription for the benefit of an employee in distress, for flowers or for the purpose of purchasing a present for someone in the house, is commendable in every way, but we must be mindful of the fact that there are those who will give under such circumstances who are not financially able to do so. If for any reason such a subscription seems desirable or wise, employees will first consult the section manager or assistant, who will place the matter before management. The power of example. Older employees are expected to set a proper example of courtesy, energy, cheerfulness, and enthusiasm to those around them. They will be especially courteous to new employees, assisting them in any way they can, cheerfully answering questions, and making them feel at home. We are very desirous that a spirit of cheerfulness shall pervade the store at all times. Customers respond readily to cheerfulness on our part, and this makes every transaction of the day pass more easily and pleasantly for all concerned. Deportment. Avoid gossiping and do not allow your friends to consume your time by visiting you. Do not indulge in conversation when upon opposite sides of the aisle or at a distance from each other. Do not go about the store arm in arm. Whistling, singing, or humming while in the store must be avoided. Conduct yourself very courteously in the elevators. Do not enter into conversation in the cars unless it is necessary. Under no circumstances remove hat pins from hats while in elevators, or use the mirrors for toilet purposes. And I'm assuming they mean checking your makeup. Whenever possible, enter and leave cars by passing to the right, allowing customers to pass first. Reading books, etc. Printed books and papers other than those relating to the business must not be read during business hours. Gum, tobacco, etc. The use of gum, tobacco, candy, fruit, nuts, or lunch of any kind while on duty is prohibited. We shall immediately dismiss any who disregard this rule, and shall consider it a misdemeanor on the part of any official who fails to inform the management when same is being broken. Borrowing or loaning money. The borrowing or loaning of money among employees is strictly prohibited. So keenly do we realize the importance of this rule that we shall not hesitate, if we find it being broken, to dismiss both the borrower and the lender. We also wish to caution you against borrowing money from loan agents. Should it seem to you necessary to borrow money, you will first consult management. Gambling, betting, etc. So this is where they're getting to the nitty-gritty of things. Any employee who practices betting on horse races, ball games, or anything of the sort, or who indulges in the buying or selling of chances of any kind in the store, either among fellow employees or outsiders, is subject to immediate dismissal. Respectable and moral associations outside of business are expected. The visiting of gambling houses, whether through curiosity or with the intention of playing, must be avoided. Cleanliness about the building. Men and boys will refrain from loitering around any of the corners of the store and by expectorating on the sidewalk or otherwise giving the place an untidy appearance. All waste paper, strings, etc. will be deposited in the receptacles provided for the same. Under no circumstances use a waste basket for a cuspidor. An immediate dismissal, together with any fine the law will allow, will follow the detection of anyone defacing the walls or in any way injuring any room in the store. To make it less easy to thus offend the eyes of others, we hereby offer a reward of $5 to the one who discovers or makes it possible for us to discover anyone committing a misdemeanor of this kind. This part is interesting. Objectionable words and expressions. It is preferable to use the word we instead of I in cases other than those of a strictly personal nature, as we have it in 3 styles, and not I have it in 3 styles. Avoid using the single word busy when responding to a call which cannot be attended to at once. In speaking of men's goods, you will refer to them as men's goods and not gents' goods. Always use the word madam instead of lady in addressing women who visit the store when not familiar with the visitors' names. Saleswomen, in waiting upon other women, will never use the expression my dear or anything similar. The word flat, as applied to an apartment house, is not pleasing, and you will substitute the word apartment. The question charge or cash will not be used. It is preferable to say, have you an account, assuming that otherwise the cash will be presented. Misrepresentation and guarantee. Misrepresentation of merchandise is suicidal to any business. We must insist that you never misrepresent any article under any circumstances. Such action on your part will subject you to immediate dismissal. Neither will you guarantee wear or color. Knowledge of the store. Salespeople in any section should, so far as practicable, become conversant with all portions of that section by occasionally selling in each portion. It is important that employees inform themselves relative to all parts of the building. Guides leave the Information Bureau at nearly every hour of the day and will be pleased to have you take the trip through the store with them. Employees will not go to the subway floor alone unless they have business there. And what they're referring to is the subway actually stops at the basement of Marshall Fields, which I think then became the bargain basement later. I don't think they called it the bargain basement, but that's where all the bargains were. Assisting in other sections. Salespeople will not hesitate to go from their own section to assist in others which they may be directed by floormen, when in the judgment of the floormen such assistance is necessary. Care of fixtures. Any who find it necessary to stand upon the counters or other fixtures at any time must use pasteboard or some other protecting substances beneath their shoes. Promises. We wish to emphasize the necessity of making no promises which cannot be absolutely fulfilled. From the standpoint of the customer, a promise which is made only to be broken is worse than no promise at all. And while customers sometimes press us for definite information, we must not allow that fact to lead us into agreeing to doing something which will not be executed. It is far better to lose a sale than to secure it under any such basis. It is quite possible, of course, that we make a positive promise on the basis that the manufacturer gives us every assurance that he will have merchandise in our hands at a certain time, and later finds that he must disappoint us. In any such case or similar condition, you will immediately notify the customer either by telephone or through the correspondence bureau. The statement is sometimes made that all goods purchased on Saturday will be delivered on that day. While this is true as far as we are able to make it so, there are necessarily exceptions to this, owing to the distance, etc. Anything sold on Saturday, which must be delivered on that day, will be marked for special delivery. Do not make a promise which affects any employee other than yourself, except with an understanding with the other employee that such a promise is made, and let us all absolutely insist that a promise in this house is to be depended upon. When you are pressed for positive answers as to delivery, you may always obtain the desired information from the delivery card or by consulting a floorman. Errors. The habitual making of mistakes will be considered cause for dismissal. Carelessness in issuing tickets of any kind is inexcusable. Employees who do not thoroughly understand every detail of the requirements should obtain the information at once. The study on the 9th floor, which I think is like a library, the study on the 9th floor is always open to inquirers in reference to any part of our system. Salespeople will not assume that addresses which they happen to remember are correct. Be certain that no change has been made. Carbon duplicates must be perfectly legible. Pencils should be well sharpened, and carbons in good condition and carefully placed. In cases of loss occasioned through neglect to indicate inspector's number, through error in issuing ticket, extension of figures, or in the delivery of package or change, the loss must be made good by the one in error. That's kind of harsh, huh? Direction of customers. You will be very careful in giving directions to customers as to the location of merchandise. Misdirection resulting in annoyance not only to the customers themselves but to Marshall Field and Company. You will never indicate the location of merchandise by a careless inclination of the head or an indefinite motion of the hand. If the desired merchandise is sold elsewhere than in your section, and you are not absolutely sure where it is to be found, you will ask a floorman, explaining to him carefully what the customer wishes. Floormen and others must be sure that they know exactly what customers wish before giving directions. Different varieties of goods are often classed under one name, and while unnecessary questions are always to be avoided, it is often impossible to intelligently direct the customer without first ascertaining just the variety desired. Guides. Occasionally, visitors to the city are desirous of making a trip through the store during their stay here. To such an one, it is very pleasing to have an employee demonstrate sufficient interest in her and in the house to suggest a visit to some of the many interesting portions of the premises, Our Information Bureau will appreciate the opportunity to provide guides in cases of this kind, and employees need not hesitate to send visitors there. Customers having business with the purchase ticket department may go to the sub-basement alone, but those who desire simply to see various points of interest below the basement must be accompanied by guides. Inquiries for credit office. Customers asking for credit office sometimes mean the desk where credits are issued for goods they are returning. Care should be taken not to refer them to the credit division unless it is certain that they have business with that office. Indifference. It is recognized in this store that the undue urging of merchandise upon customers is not desired, but this does not mean in any way that indifference in the slightest degree is to be permitted. Indifference on the part of employees is a very serious blight in any business, and we wish it understood that this house considers anything of the kind sufficient cause for instant dismissal. Salespeople will endeavor to serve customers immediately and not wait to be asked by either customers or floormen. When all salespeople are necessarily busy, the one nearest the customer will excuse himself to the one upon whom he is waiting and will request the customer to be seated, assuring her that she will be cared for within a moment or two. Courtesy. All positions of authority are requested to bring to immediate attention of the manager's office any and all cases in which the thought of courteous treatment to all is being disregarded through carelessness, ill temper, ignorance of the requirements, or for any other reason. You will have patience in serving customers, showing goods willingly and pleasantly, without asking too many questions as to the price, width, size, or color. See that every customer in every transaction is treated in a manner indicating that with that immediate transaction is the chief point of interest in your mind at that time. We receive visits from many out-of-town people, and the impression which is made upon them by a few moments' interview with our employees remains forever in their minds. If the employees are courteous and polite, the impression is good. If too short with answers, or other than very attentive in actions, the opposite is true. We are very desirous that visitors be allowed to see that we understand how to do business correctly, and this effect can only be had when every employee treats every visitor with careful consideration. During summer months, floormen will have fans conveniently located, which you may hand to customers as acts of courtesy when circumstances seem to warrant it. Complaints. Complaints of customers will be brought to the attention of floormen, who will deal with them in accordance with their nature. Employees will report to the management or the superintendent's office direct any matters which in their judgment should be so treated. Public discussion of business matters. While using toilet rooms, which are also used by customers, you will not discuss business of the house, as it is to be seen that in your presence of customers, matters are likely to be referred to which include the mentioning of names and facts which concern no one outside of the store. Remarks regarding merchandise. Great damage may be done by carelessly circulating rumors to the effect that certain articles of merchandise will not be popular for some particular reason or occasion, when the fact is to the contrary. You will be very careful in this matter, and refrain from hinting such things without positive knowledge that such is the fixed tendency of fashion leaders. Prices. A few people seem to have the feeling that merchandise in this store is higher priced than elsewhere, a result of our efforts to do a first-class business and to do it in the best and most thoroughly correct manner, or of the idea that, In a clean store with good fixtures and carpets, plate glass, etc., goods must be high-priced. Some other people who read the fearfully exaggerated advertisements, which are every day appearing, and who do not find the same comparative prices in our advertisements, assume that our prices are not as low. Our prices are not higher to our knowledge, the reverse being often true, and we wish you to advise us when you discover that any of our merchandise is or appears to be higher in price than it can be obtained for elsewhere. We shall further expect you to emphasize the idea that our prices are the lowest whenever it may seem necessary in your daily transactions. The false impression is occasionally voiced by customers that we sell the same goods in the basement for less money than in the main sections. You will, of course, correct this when opportunity occurs. If goods are sent from the main sections to the basement and are reduced in price, they are either reduced also in the main sections or taken off sale there. So the basement was already in place at Fields. Merchandise and windows. When articles that cannot be duplicated in stock are displayed in the windows, these articles must be subject to sale. When customers desire to purchase the same, salespeople will request that the goods be returned to stock, and window men will immediately comply. Correspondence. Letter writing while on duty cannot be allowed when letters do not relate to the business of the house. Employees will have their personal mail sent to their homes. When salespeople desire to correspond with customers on matters connected with the business, they will use the correspondence blanks which are distributed in all sections, giving thereon any information which they would otherwise write to customers. These blanks, after having received the approval of the section managers or assistants, will be sent to the correspondence bureau, where the letters will be carefully written and copy of the same. All correspondence sent out in the interest of Marshall Field and Company should conform to the best standards of commercial usage. Any carelessness as to paper, writing, margins, signature, address, stamp, or other essential of good letter is inexcusable. And so there are several pages left in the manual, so we will not get through it all in this episode. But I find it fascinating that they really thought about everything in terms of how they set the tone for the store, how they want the employees to present to the customers. And this is really how they achieved such a high level of customer service, and it's really what they were known for. There was a book written, I don't know when it was written, maybe in the 50s or 60s, called Give the Lady What She Wants, which was really their approach to customer service. It's what they were known for. So here's to Marshall Fields and Company. I have many memories of my experiences with them, and I just thought this was interesting and hopefully even a little bit sleep-inducing. And so, my beautiful friends, I wish you the sweetest of dreams. I wish you waves of inspiration and light. And I am so grateful for this time with you. I look forward to connecting again soon. So thank you, my friends. I really appreciate you.